Welcome, fam, to a mock draft edition of the FFFL moving into 2024. And I have a beautiful panel of experts here with me. Uh, Go ahead, share your names, Mr. Baldhead Guy,
Zach Godby,
Greg
the one and
Stevens.
only.
Greg
I
Stevens.
just did it today. It's fresh.
Oh, it is
It's
fresh,
fresh.
looking good.
Fresh.
I'm Dr. Sam.
And Dr. Sam. We got them all with us today. All
The real
right.
professional here.
Super professional. Well, you do have your two champions right here, and an expert. So we have it all for you. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do a mock draft. We're doing it on a different platform than we utilize usually. So usually we're using ESPN during our season. Today we're going to use Sleeper is what it's called. I'm going to ask you all to kind of pay attention if you like it, and Sam will ask you at the end if you like it. But it is a platform I prefer to even move our league to because it's just really user friendly. I think they have a lot more features for you to utilize, which is helpful. A lot more articles. They pull a lot of information in there. They do a really good job. So I think if you actually were to be in it, you'd probably agree that it's just a better platform to be on as we've moved through things. Whereas like ESPN hasn't really ever updated much of their platform, and sometimes that's what people want. They just want to keep it with what they've had. But
ESPN is the same it's been for 10 years.
yeah, Yahoo and all those are kind of falling like they're just kind of stay the same. But this is a cool platform to utilize. So I will share my screen for us during this recording. We're drafting from our spot, so that we actually have. So Zach is drafting from the third spot, Sam from the sixth spot, and I'll be from the 12. And we're just going to kind of go through and talk strategy as we go through the actual draft. So I'll kind of keep asking these guys questions of maybe what they're thinking here in this spot or why they chose that based on their team construction, things like that. So that's what we're going to do during this mock draft. Are you two gentlemen ready for it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that sounded like you all were totally ready. All right, so I'm sharing my screen now, gentlemen, and I'll bring this up so we can see all three of our esteemed panelists here while I'm recording. I'm going to go ahead and click Start Draft. So, like I said, this is on the Sleeper app. It's a little bit different than the ESPN app, but it will flow through. What I like about this when you're mock drafting is the computer bots actually draft differently like every time that you draft. For the most part, it's kind of cool. So it's another reason I like it is that you can mock draft and it'll kind of turn out different for you each time because the computer will actually select it differently, which is kind of cool. But we're going to go ahead and get this started. It has all of our league settings in here, ready to rock and roll as well. And we will end up starting with Zach as it comes on through. Whoa.
I will take Christian McCaffrey at 3. Thank you.
Yeah. So
I'm
surprisingly,
not going to explain why. I think that's pretty self-explanatory.
yeah, I would say the same. And Sam, you went Brees Hall at that point. What I don't like about it is I have to use like my finger to scroll through here to actually get to it. So you both chose running backs, and the computer actually chose all of the wide receivers. So Zach, why you chose McCaffrey? Did you expect him to even be there when you
I
drafted?
did not. I did not. I did not. But I will admit I was going to take Brees Hall if McCaffrey was taken 1 or 2. So
Yeah.
Brees Hall would have been my first pick if not McCaffrey. My first pick is probably going to be a running back at 3.
Yeah, I think for me, I have to decide if I want to go two running back or if I want to do like a running back wide receiver or stuff like that. What about you, Sam? You went Brees Hall. I mean, to me, that's another good obvious pick. Why'd you pick him over Bijan?
I just think things were weird in Atlanta last year, and I don't know that they're going to get any better. And I feel a little bit more stable with Brees Hall, just in general. I mean, I think they're going to use Bijan a lot more, but I mean, I think Brees Hall is going to be the guy there, and I think he's going to get a lot of like touches in the pass game also. So
Yeah, I would say the same. I really like Brees Hall a lot this year, so I'm big on him. And I think you go any of them, McCaffrey, Hall, or Bijan for like where you were picking for the first running back. I think any of those three would be good options.
Teammate took a quarterback pretty early.
Teammate did take a quarterback early. Josh Allen's usually earlier than he normally goes. And
Yeah.
Sam, you went with a second running
Sam,
back. What's
Sam just
your
took my
strategy
running.
there?
Sam just took my running
I
back.
think Derrick Henry's going to do great in Baltimore. Personally, I think that's just literally his style of football in Baltimore, and I think they have somewhat of a chip on their shoulder. So I think that was like a missing piece, and I'm pretty sure what Dobbins is out for a little while longer.
He's not even there anymore. He's with the Chargers now.
Yeah, he's
Who
at the Chargers.
The
who's their other
Chargers
Edwards
are
quarterback?
and
the West Coast Ravens because they
yeah,
have Gus
yeah,
Edwards and
Edwards
J.K.
and
Dobbins.
Dobbins. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I went two
So
running backs as well because I think in our league with the point per carry being at 0.2 and we're already at half PPR, I'm already focused on I want to, especially at the end of first round, beginning of second where I'm at, I'm not gonna be able to pick for another 22 picks. So for me, it was important that I at least got one running back, and by the time it comes back to me, who knows where that'll be at. But I don't want the running back to be dried up for that second round. But I've been kind of playing around with a couple different strategies, just taking one running back at that point, and then trying to go what is called hero RB, so I don't take a running back maybe for a little bit a while and try to stack up on wide receivers. But a lot of times
I've
I'm
got
picking two
30.
running backs in our league.
I've got 30 seconds to pick. I'm just going to let you guys know I'm taking Pacheco. Um,
Okay.
I could have went a wide receiver here, but I didn't really want Debo Samuel. That would have probably been my choice. Um, I'm kind of with Sam. I don't know how I feel about Atlanta so far yet. I have not really gotten to explore training camps and how people are looking yet. But I also did that because it comes right back to me and I can take basically anything I want. But I think where I'm going to go here is probably Mike Evans to get a wide receiver.
Okay. Let me ask you
So
this.
I have two great running backs. You know what I mean? That's a good start.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, Zach, because you got
Mm-hmm.
Pacheco and Evans. You could have potentially had, and let's just say Pacheco was going to go off the board before you. So do you like Pacheco and Evans, or would you have rather had a Debo and an ETN?
I would have rather had Debo, but me having McCaffrey, I'm not going to take McCaffrey and Debo both.
Sure.
Like that's that. I mean,
Or
that's
even a London, because you have Ayuk and Debo that kind of go around the same.
right,
Sam,
right.
you're now at you have two running backs. Are you basically saying, "Hey, I want to get a wide receiver"? What are you looking for?
Yeah, I know. I know who I'm picking. I'm just buying you time.
No, I appreciate it.
My thought process when I picked Derrick Henry is like when I was looking at the second round wide receivers that came through, to me at least there's a pretty clear tier of like the top 6, 7 guys. And when you get out of that, like even AJ Brown, I think would be like my maybe like end of that like tier list. He's like my cut list. So it's like Chase Lamb, Brown, Jefferson, Tyreek Hill are like my first ones. And if I don't get one of those, then it's like Olave, Adams, Wilson, Harrison, they're all the same to me. So
Yeah.
like that's where I went with that. And now I'm picking wide
I
receiver.
agree with you in everything except for Garrett Wilson. I think Garrett Wilson's going to be a stud
Yeah,
again.
unless there's another Achilles that goes pop week 1.
Well, if Aaron Rodgers is healthy, I guess I should make that caveat. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for me, I think that's some of the tough parts coming at this juncture. But going
Yeah.
to RB, I'm not going to go another running back, and I don't really have great options here. But I do
Right.
have what I like in regards to options for wide receivers. I think DK Metcalf is going to have a great year this year, and for
Yeah.
him to be my wide receiver one, going as what I'm counting as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, the 14th wide receiver off the board. I think he's better than that, and it might even be more than that. Oh yeah, shoot, he ends up being like the 18th or 19th wide receiver off the board. I think his worst finish ever has been like wide receiver 18 in a season. So for me, I like DK Metcalf here, so I'm going to go ahead and draft him. And then the next toughest part when you're at an end as well is like I don't know if I just hammer wide receiver. I like the wide receivers I have here, but we also have the ability to, we have a flex spot that could have another running back. it depends on how you like maybe a James Cook or something like that. Or do you want to go with like a onesie position to get a Mahomes or a Lamar Jackson and try to go for one of these like more big time quarterbacks? Like a lot of things to think about as you're going through it. I'm gonna make a different choice. I'm actually gonna end up choosing Devonta Smith. So I'm gonna choose two wide receivers there. So now I've got, in my opinion, two top running backs, and then I really like both those wide receivers this year. So
Damn
I
it.
feel good about my start.
Damn it.
Now you're up, Sam.
So team 7 just took my pick. You were talking about Cook. That I would have loved Cook in my spot. That would have been great.
Yeah, I think he could potentially fall, but he was the next running back up, and in this style of league,
Yeah.
you're going to get him taken. And I liked him too. I was considering him. I was even considering Lamar
Yeah.
Jackson, getting some rushing side from that, and he was a big
Right.
guy for me last year.
Yeah.
To help me with the championship. So it's like I kind of have a little soft spot in my heart.
Mm-hmm.
Sam, you look like you're mulling over. You're scratching your head a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm just picking. So my thought process is between Kenneth Walker and Zay Flowers.
Okay.
I don't really want Malik Neighbors.
Real quick, you only have 1 minute, so I don't want to take a bunch of your time. No consideration at all for CJ Stroud there for you to team up with Stephon?
Eh, I mean, it's high risk, high reward, but I mean, I am more on like I'm gonna get skill guys early. I don't believe tight ends really need to go super early, and I also don't really believe that quarterbacks need to go super early. So it's
I
like,
agree.
you
I'm
know,
kind of the same way, but I just was curious. Just wanted
I'd rather like pick my skill guys that are gonna like be my workhorses because like quarterbacks are like not necessarily a dime a dozen, but
right. You
like
can get a good quarterback that's not scoring 40 a game, but he'll score 20 a game.
because you gotta think, right? Like if you scroll, if you look, right, team 8, 9, 10, and 11 all have quarterbacks. So
Yeah.
like Greg's the only one, team 7 and Greg, team 12, coming back around that like if I
Mhm.
target a quarterback late, like I'm more than likely gonna get him because nobody's picking up a second quarterback. More
Right.
than
Right.
right. So like unless I
So
like when I wait
go
for it
ahead.
coming back, I'll get if I wait for it coming this way, the way it's going, I might get screwed. But if like say next round I pick another running back wide receiver, I'm almost guaranteed my quarterback's gonna come back around or one of my top three that are left.
Right.
So,
So I'm going to take a little bit of a flyer here because I am kind of with Sam in the wide receiver thing. If you're not getting one of them top 7 guys, right? I think the rest are fairly good. Okay. Like they're all pretty good. So I'm going to wait to get another wide receiver. And this is kind of a flyer, but I'm going to take Alvin Kamara here to have 3 running backs. I think they might have a great year. And again, I knew it was coming back around to me pretty quickly. So I'm also going to take Amari Cooper in that spot for my number 2 wide receiver.
I like it.
Yeah.
You have a couple of oldies but goodies in your wide
Yeah.
receiver core right now. So going a
Yeah.
little senior on that, but both have shown big
Look,
play
I understand
potential.
that they're older, but if you look at their numbers last year, those 2 wide receivers I got in the 3rd round and the 5th round are top 10 probably. I don't Was Amari Cooper top 10? He might have been
No, he
top 15.
wasn't, but he's still, I think, again, another guy who's going later than his floor, or he's like going at his floor. And so when we say at his floor, we mean like the worst he could probably do is where you're drafting him. And
Right.
so if you feel like you're drafting a guy at his floor, that's a great deal because then hey, all I have is upside at this point. And
Yeah.
Cooper just signed. They got the not extension, but they got him the more money, so he's happy
Yeah.
there now, and he's back in practice and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So Sam, you got 2 and 2. So you had 2 running backs, you have 2 receivers. Um, what are your thoughts kind of going into this spot now?
I mean, at this point, I'm just kind of like rolling down the list of like top available ADP and see what's there. And like I said, like I don't necessarily need a tight end,
But do you do
right?
best player available at this point? Is that kind of how
I
you
start to
look
look
at
and
it?
see I start to look and see who's there, what they're projecting, and like T. Higgins is like I think he's a good late round. I think that's a little high for me to grab him just because I don't know where he's at. Like Pickens, I don't know who's throwing to him. Aaron Jones, no thanks on Minnesota this year, maybe. James Conner in Arizona, I don't know. Kittle, hit or miss. Burrow. So then I'm just kind of looking at who I think is like of those like next tier is going to do well.
If I
And I
can
think
throw in my opinion real fast, I James Conner might be a steal. If he can stay
Oh,
healthy this year, I think that might.
James Conner is stolen. Damn.
I
yeah,
told you. I mean,
I know. I was hoping he'd be there because
I kind
now
of
it
like James Conner because he's going later. He could be a good, solid. What's that, fifth round pick? Like
almost the end of the
again, if
fifth. I
he's
mean, he's at the
healthy.
very end of the fifth. That would be a
Yeah,
good one there.
yeah.
So and it's funny because for me, I normally wouldn't do this, but now I'm looking at Anthony Richardson as a guy who slipped and has major upside. Um, I mean, it's a tough one to say. How do I not take an Anthony Richardson here just because of that upside that he provides? And then what I would say is I'm going to take Anthony Richardson with the hope that then I'll kind of get a quarterback that I feel like is fairly trustworthy and steady as best I can later on in the draft. Just
Right.
in for that time when Anthony Richardson does not keep himself in the game, which might
Yeah.
happen often. So uh, he proved last year that when he's playing, he will provide you a lots of points. But when he's not playing, which was most of the year last year, he will not. Uh, and having picked him up, I'm in an interesting position because another guy I like a lot, the tight ends. I'm going to say no to Kyle Pitts, George Kittle. Like I'm off of that for right now. Nope.
Uh,
But I will pick up my third running back and go with a David Montgomery, who I think is another guy who probably has lesser of a role this year with Jahmyr Gibbs being there, but um, he's still a great number two. He's kind of a 1B in that backfield now, which I'm fine with. And they have the best offensive line in football. So I feel like they're still going to run it. They're still going to score a good amount of points. And I think he'll be a part of that scoring. So having him as my number three, I don't think I have to put him in the game, but I think I have a solid guy that can come in during bye weeks.
Audience, Greg was supposed to take Kyle Pitts there. He's scared.
And Kyle Pitts got taken right after me. So obviously the computer is hot and bothered with some Kyle Pitts.
I would say for the record, if this draft was moving slower, I would be paying more attention to my bye weeks, which I see is like sitting on the side of the screen, like the side of the person you're picking. But because it's moving so fast, I'm like not really tracking
No,
them.
and that's fine. I'm not gonna even mention bye weeks in here. That's why I just say, hey, he'd be a bye week fill in because even when we're drafting, it's not gonna be how it goes. I will say that the first round was weird because I don't see in our leagues wide receivers going that much that early. I feel like it's gonna be
Ooh,
more running back at that point. So
ooh.
somebody get taken
Well,
from you?
I was really kind of hoping to get Evan Ingram right there.
Yeah.
I
I
was
do like
really
him
kind
as
of
a good
hoping to
tight
get
end.
Evan Ingram. So now because that happened, I'm gonna probably go to best available. Um, and I'm gonna probably I could go quarterback now. Uh actually, yeah, he's still there. I'm taking another running back right now. I'm taking Najee Harris
I
right
like
now.
Najee. Especially in our format, I like him a lot. Oh, and Kyler didn't make it back. That would have been nice.
Dang, I thought
That would
I
have
would
been
get
real
Kyler.
nice.
That's all right though, because Louis, you'd be so proud. I hope
No,
you're watching this
he's gonna hate you. You're like,
because
you
I'm
dummy,
taking Dak Prescott.
you
I
dummy.
like Dak this year. I think Dak's going to be all right. I mean, I think he's going to play for a contract, right? He's going to play well. He's going to try to get paid.
We will see, man. Here's what I'll say.
And I don't
Like,
mind Dak in the seventh round, right? That's
yeah. Oh, completely. I think, and oftentimes I don't even look at what round so much they're picked in. I would rather focus on what number are they in their position grouping that they're picked because that's kind of what you're doing is you're selecting these guys. So we'll say Dak was probably the number nine is usually where he's at. He's like QB9 in drafts, somewhere like that. And he'll finish and like so you're looking at like if you can draft him as the QB9 in the draft, but he finishes as QB6 or five or something, that's what you're trying to do. And last year I think Dak was like QB3 or something.
He was 9. That was the 9th quarterback taken.
Yeah.
And yes, he was the 3rd quarterback last year.
Right. And so that's what I often focus on. So what I like one of my tips to people is like don't focus as much on the round that you're drafting somebody in. You kind of want to almost, if you can, focus on like the number in the grouping because each draft you go into, especially if you're doing different ones, as you guys know, it could be all of a sudden they're taking a bunch of wide receivers. Now you're taking a wide receiver earlier than you normally would because you want to make sure you get certain guys.
Yeah.
Sam, where's your head at?
I'm gonna try that.
Oh, Bauer power. Bauer
I don't hate
power.
that. I don't hate it.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at like as much as I said like I try to take tight ends a little bit later, I was looking at like remaining, and I
Yeah.
think there's only like probably 4 or 5 that I would take out of the remaining that
Right.
are there. Um, and a lot of them are like question marks. Like I think Dalton Schultz had a good year last year, but they also added Stephon Diggs. So like, is he gonna
Yeah.
get as many targets? Like Cole Kmet, I think, is a good tight end, but also now you have DeAndre Swift, so are you gonna use him more in the run game?
Right.
Like you look at Dallas Goddard, right? Well, you just got Saquon, so same thing. And Joku, like I still don't know what
Well,
Cleveland's gonna be.
so I've been doing a lot of mocks just so everyone knows, and I've been taking Ferguson late, like late. He's been going late.
There was some there
And I
was
think that's a good pick. They got Zeke back, who, I mean, okay, what's he doing? They got CD on, what are they doing with this contract? Like, I think they'll hit Ferguson a little bit this year.
there was some
Yeah, I'd agree with that. So I'm gonna go ahead and take him based on
Yeah,
your advice there, Zach. Maybe grab him.
yeah.
there was some video that surfaced that was like saying the amount of teams that took a tight end early making their draft or making their playoffs versus taking them late, and there was like really no difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, every year's gonna be different, but this year I like the top ones. I mean, Ferguson kind of rounds it out as far as kind of going that route, but the first like five-ish I love. So if you can get a top five tight end this year of what is it? I mean, I look at it as either
Funny you
Laporta
say
or
that.
Kelsey or
It's funny you
Andrews.
say that because I don't. I'm exactly opposite of that.
Oh, you don't like it in the top five?
I like Sam Laporta. That's it. I don't think Travis Kelsey's going to be Travis Kelsey, right? Not
No.
that he's going to be bad, but he's not going to be that great. Mark Andrews has been injured, so can he stay healthy? You know, and who else you got besides those top three? George Kittle. I mean, he's just getting older, I guess you
No,
could
but you have
say.
Trey McBride, who was a stud last year, and while Marvin Harrison's
Sure,
going there, I think that helps each other. It doesn't like it means that they can't just focus on one or the other. And I think Dalton
right. But
Kincaid is going to get tons of targets
my
from
thing,
Josh Allen. He's going to be the number
my
one
thing with
weapon.
Trey McBride, right? My thing with Trey McBride though is they just added Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah, but I don't think. I mean, so you're right. I think the volume is going to be less than what he had last year. Obviously, you have to when you have a Marvin Harrison coming in, but
Oh,
they
cool,
didn't
bro.
do. I mean, they added Marvin Harrison, but I mean, Hollywood Brown goes away, so there's like targets that are still vacated by Marquise Brown leaving. So that's
Right,
already a part of it. I think that to me, you can't tell me that Kyler Murray you can't throw to two options. Like
right.
it's not going to always just be one. So I actually like Trey McBride and I like Dalton Kincaid because I think Dalton Kincaid for Buffalo is going to be Josh
So
Allen's
I'm
number
going to
one
take
target because they have like over 300 targets vacated with Gabe Davis
right.
and
Oh
Stephon
yeah,
Diggs
yeah,
gone.
yeah, yeah.
Did
So
Sam,
I'm
what
gonna
do you got,
hope.
Sam?
I'm
you
gonna
did you
hope.
look at my last draft pick?
Yeah, Keon Coleman.
Keon
Yeah,
Coleman. So
yeah,
yeah, I
that's
see
a
that.
nice
So
pick.
so Sam, why don't you speak to Keon, Neon
He's
Keon?
freaking hilarious. The dude is he's a glue guy on my roster.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
is a funny dude. I think just what you
Yeah.
said, right? Like a lot of targets vacated,
Yep.
and Josh
yeah.
Allen do like to throw the deep ball. And I
Oh
think,
yeah.
I mean, Keon Coleman played at Florida State, and that offense was electric when everything was healthy. So I think, if you put him in the same style with another like option with Kincaid, then at least 2 targets, he'll get his touches. So
Yeah.
Okay, so this might bite me in the butt, but I'm gonna roll the dice and hope that he comes back to me. And I'll just say it since you guys. So I'm gonna take Jalen Warren, which is Najee Harris's backup, and hope that DeAndre Hopkins comes back to me.
He did.
Yes.
There you
So
go.
there we go.
So you
And
played a little bit of the game of
so I got the backup for Najee Harris, and he's a stud. And then I also got another stud at wide receiver. I feel like DeAndre Hopkins is going to be great with Will Levis. I think he's going
yeah.
to be fine.
Hey,
And again, that's part of what I was saying about picking wide receivers late. Just like Team 5 just took Christian Watson. I like Christian Watson.
Yep.
He's going late. Like, to Sam's point, Keon Coleman, that's kind of late, but also a flyer as well because we don't know what he's going to do. But I think he's going to be good. I think he's going to be good. I think he'll be better than Gabe Davis.
Is 107 Bijan Robinson?
What?
Pick
I think it was 108.
107 on the rank. Is that Bijan or Brian?
Oh, I don't know. Oh,
That's
yeah,
Brian.
right.
That's Brian Robinson Jr.
Brian.
from Washington. Yeah,
Bijan,
I was like, wait a
Bijan,
second. No,
Bijan
no,
Bijan in the
no.
9th. How much time do I have?
Bijan goes first round,
Bijan in the 9th.
Yeah. But Sam,
or he should.
but right now, Sam, you've got 3 running back, 4 wide receiver, and a tight end.
Is that what I have?
That's what you're looking at construction wise.
Sure is.
Does that handcuff you anywhere? Do you feel like you're free to go wherever you'd like? What are you thinking now?
How much time do I have? Hold on.
You have less than 30 seconds.
Come back to me in a second.
Take the solid Brock Purdy, man. Solid Brock Purdy. I'm kidding.
I do like the Brock.
Who is this guy?
He'll be all right.
He's got all the weapons, man. I mean, how could you? And they've added more in case
Yep.
others were to
Yep.
be bad.
Yep.
Oh, the Singletary. Oh, and Brian Robinson goes before I can select. Talk about the Singletary there, Sam. Why'd you go Singletary over Brian Robinson?
Really no decision. I think. I mean, I don't know. I don't really. I mean, I wanted another running back, and so that's kind of where I was looking of those remainings. And like I said, I knew that the higher likelihood of a quarterback coming back around to me now. So I was like,
so he's hovering over him. Sorry to interrupt you, but tell me why you don't like Tajee Spears or Gus Edwards. I'm just curious. I don't like them either, but I'm curious to hear what your reasoning.
I don't know. Is there a number 1 in Tennessee, or is it?
I would think it's Tony Pollard. I would think.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. It's just more so. Like Spears, I think had good. Like he was a good change of pace back for them last year, but I feel like Tony Pollard's gonna try to be the guy now because that's kind of like that was the whole Zeke and Pollard thing, and now I think he's gonna try to be the guy. And so I don't know how much usage he's gonna necessarily get. And I don't remember who the other one you said was.
Gus Edwards. First year with the Chargers.
I don't know how I feel about the Chargers.
That's where I'm at. Like it's gonna suck because whoever gets them, like Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert's been like the 20th picked quarterback in almost every draft I've taken, and it's like, oh boy, I mean that could be like the steal of steals, maybe. But I mean, again, who knows? Who knows?
I'm a little worried because I have not added a third wide receiver yet. And so I'm like trying to look at like who would I pick in this moment? Being on the edges makes it tough. I really like Jameson Williams. They've been actually talking well about him in Detroit, but I don't know if it's more of a put up or shut up type of year, and so that's why they're putting it the way they're putting it. They didn't go out and get anybody else like as a wide receiver, and you had Josh Reynolds leave. So to me, again, vacated targets. and they didn't bring anything in to
I'm gonna throw my 2 cents in real fast
go
because
ahead.
I told you I like Williams. Jameson Williams is good. He's real good. He's
But
good.
then, right. But the other thing I'm thinking about is I also have Anthony Richardson as my quarterback because I was really smart by taking Jonathan Taylor with the first pick I had, and then going ahead and picking his running quarterback next to him. That was super smart for me to do. I would not recommend that to people, is taking a running quarterback and then taking their running back as well. It normally doesn't work out for upside. So I made a
Yeah,
mistake there. So, but then I'm also looking at Adonai Mitchell because that is a target for Anthony Richardson. So, do I want to build a stack with that for a guy that has potential on it? I'm going to go ahead and do it just because I feel like it's a mock. So, might as
because
well
it's
do
a
that.
mock. That's why you
Exactly.
wouldn't do a triple stack like that.
But yeah, normally I would not. I don't normally don't like that, but
And Team 11 took Jameson Williams.
they did. So, I mean, I knew he was going to be the next one off. I thought about a QB there, so I thought about taking Jared Goff there to be a steady guy next to Anthony Richardson. I do like that idea. I feel like there's more guys at the end, like as you go down, that can do the same thing. Um, whether that is like a Baker Mayfield, a Geno Smith, a Matthew Stafford, those kind of guys that can also kind of even him out as well.
Mhm.
So, so Sam, you went Trevor Lawrence. This is your first quarterback, correct? You
I'm
went with
getting
T
another one on the way
Law.
back.
You what?
I'm getting another one on the way back.
Oh, okay. Okay. I kind of like that. So what
So,
leads you towards the double tap of quarterback?
I don't know. I mean, at this point, like you're kind of just. I mean, what are we in round 10 now? That was round 10. Like at this point, you're kind of just like filling out, hoping that you're gonna get somebody like an impact guy. Like maybe if you get an injury or somebody steps up. I mean, maybe like give it one more round, but I mean, a couple of these guys are like now you're now looking at like target 2 and 3 or target 3 on different depth charts and like backup running backs and stuff. So at this point, at least I can grab another one and make a decision. I mean, I have 4 and 4 currently, so I know I have like a flex spot. I can throw one of those guys in my flex, and I have my starters.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if there's like another solid quarterback, like at this point, like I may take like a younger quarterback and see if they kind of light it up because this year's like very heavy on like young quarterbacks and
Yeah.
hypothetically, if my team does well, then I won't have a chance to pick them up on the waiver wire. So it's one of those like, all right, Trevor Lawrence is going to be my starter, but then maybe I'll look at like I don't really want JJ McCarthy, but
Jaden
like
Daniels won't make it back to you. I don't
so
think.
I'm
yeah,
taking Dalton Schultz with my pick real quick, just because I need to fill the tight
I
end
was
position.
I was still
Okay.
talking, but that's okay.
We'll
I
get to
had
yours,
10
Zach.
sec.
Don't
I had
worry.
10 sec. I had
So
10
Sam,
seconds.
And we could
no,
have
you can
and
still
we could have
draft it. I'll
talked
talk
about
to
it.
it.
I would have given you time in my
Yeah,
would have
we can
waited.
get back to you, man. So
We
finish
can
your
pause the
thoughts,
draft
Sam.
whenever
So
you
I
want.
You can continue on. I was just throwing my Dalton
I
yeah,
lost
Schultz
my
pick.
you
train of
just
thought.
draft and we'll get to it.
I lost my train of
We're
thought.
Don't
professionals
even
here.
worry about no. Don't even that pick just didn't even happen. Like it's just Dalton
I
Schultz
can
for
remove
free.
it. It is
It's
just
just
Dalton
Dalton
Schultz. It is
Schultz
just Dalton
for free.
Schultz.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you continuing or do you want me to
No, but
go?
I can understand where you're coming from. I think that's a good strategy too, to maybe take a younger guy as well as a veteran, kind of doing back-to-back picks. I like that strategy. I have not employed it enough, so I
Yeah.
like that.
So I took Dalton Schultz again because I needed a tight
Yeah,
end, so I needed to
yeah,
fill
we
that
heard.
position.
We
And
know.
then I'm going to take my quarterback that is probably going to be my starter. I'm hoping in Aaron Rodgers. We'll see, but
Roger.
I'm going to take the risk. I'm going to take the risk.
I feel you. I feel you there. But another thing that Sam was talking about before, and when he took Trevor Lawrence, it's another great reason to be taking QB late is you mentioned kind of how just the depth at the other positions that you're picking multiple of kind of runs out pretty quickly, and so doing what you're looking at doing and seeing if you are going to double tap or if you're going to maybe take somebody here and let it come back to you too, because those young guys are down there, like a JJ McCarthy or something is already down there. So,
Well,
you
so
know,
real fast, sorry.
yeah,
I've also been doing this in mock drafts where I've gotten Aaron Rodgers and then Mike Williams.
sure,
So because he's going so late, right? Because he's, never healthy, this, that, and the other, right?
right.
But when he's on the field, he's a stud. So we'll see how that goes.
Oh, Sam went massage parlor. I
Oh,
see.
you son of a
Okay.
bitch. You son of a
Okay.
bitch.
I should have waited one more round. I should have waited one more round, let it come back around, and then
Andy is going to lose his shit when he sees that you drafted him.
yeah, you know.
You got to do what you got to do, baby.
Yeah.
I'm taking Rashid Shaheed. I think he just got tons of upside, so I like him a lot in that
Yeah.
spot. And then once again, since I don't draft until much later, again, like I kind of scroll down further to see who do I like. And one of the
Mhm.
guys that I really do like as far as running back goes that has an opportunity, I'm going to draft Jalen Wright. He is a third stringer on their team, but if Mostert gets hurt, which Mostert normally does, except for last season, get
Right.
hurt, Jalen Wright's the first guy to go in, and it seems like they have at least a backfield of two guys in Achane and Mostert that can expect to probably get hurt at some point. And I think Jalen Wright has the speed for that offense and is a good fit into that offense. So if he gets the opportunity, he'll come up. And at this point, he'd be my sixth running back. So I don't need which I think is I'm capped at that point. So I'm not going to draft any more running backs at that point.
Didn't get Mike Williams,
No, I see you did not get Mike Williams because the
which is
computer is a
fine.
moron and wanted to draft him. So
Yeah, it's fine.
we'll see. Roger, I mean, I don't know what Roger's going to do this year. So I think that's a gamble in and of itself. He's a good
Yeah.
solid quarterback, but again, as you were saying, like trying to tie him to another quarterback too is something you got to be thinking about here. So
Right.
Sam's already got his two quarterbacks. He did double tap on that. And I'm gonna let
Yeah.
him think through it. But what are you thinking through, Zach, right now when it's coming back to you?
So I'm gonna probably pick up another wide receiver on this next one. Now I'm not sure where I'm gonna go just yet, but I'm gonna probably definitely put in my mind like I need another wideout. I've only got 3 at this point, so I definitely need to get one. And then on my comeback around, I'll mention that I have a surprise. Like I've been doing this, and this might happen in the real draft. We'll just see how things go. But
Yeah. And Sam,
yeah,
right now you have a 2-2. I said 2-4-4-1 build. We all have to get defense. I wait till the last round to get my defense, but that's what you have. Jahan Dotson. All right, a little Jahan. Tell us about Jahan Dotson and why do you believe this year?
I was just reading his bio and it really spoke to me. But I mean, it was kind of I mean, his bio, it actually kind of was nice, a little bio write up, but it basically just was like, third year, like third different OC, different QB, like Curtis Samuel left, so touches are open. Like obviously Terry McLaurin's there, but like if somebody's gonna get doubled, it's gonna be Scary Terry. So, and I mean, who knows? Maybe what Jaden Daniels can sling the rock to him a little bit more, and or at least Jaden Daniels in college was a mobile quarterback, so at least if you have to like throw a QB spy out there, then that leaves a little bit extra room on the field for some touches. So, but at this point, it's kind of like, I'm just picking guys up that might be like trade pieces or injury pieces. So I'm like maybe looking for a guy with like a big boom upside of
Okay.
potential. But yeah.
Yeah, I like that idea too, is looking for upside in these later parts of the draft because these will end up usually being the guys you're going to potentially cut anyway. So if like, hey, if it doesn't boom, then maybe I'm getting rid of him, going for somebody else. So
yeah.
Zach, you're up. Where are you at?
So Greg has done a couple of mock drafts with me, and he's seen me do this. And Louis, yet again, you'll be proud. I like to do a stack here and there, so I am going to take Brandon Cooks to pair with Dak Prescott, and I think he's a great fourth wideout, right?
No, wrong. I do not think he's a great fourth wideout, but that's your choice. You have
Why do
the
you not
oldest
think so?
wide receiver room in history. You have Mike
Yeah.
Evans, Amari Cooper, DeAndre Hopkins, and Brandon Cooks. You just keep adding. I will say your wide receivers have the most experience in the FFFL right now. So that's what you have going for you. So that's good.
And where did Mike Evans finish last year?
Well, he was great. He finished like number 3.
Right. And where did DeAndre Hopkins finish last year?
Not so good. He was like 20 something. He was like
That's
late
still
20s.
not terrible. That's not terrible.
Who's talking,
And who
we
was
talking about
my
this?
other
We
one?
talking about this year or last year?
And Amari
Last
Cooper.
year, but they just paid Calvin Ridley to come in and take that money. So Calvin
Right.
Ridley is coming to do that. The head coach wanted specifically to go get Tyler Boyd. So look at it as like they've got more weapons out there now. So I don't think Hopkins get as much, but he is a goal line threat and somebody they look to in the red zone a lot. So I like him for the touchdown upside. I don't think it's bad. I was just kind of giving you a hard time for having.
Again, Amari
I think
Cooper as
every
well.
single
Yeah.
one of your wide receivers is over
Every one
30.
of my wide receivers you would be thrilled to have, except for Brandon Cooks.
Except for Brandon Cooks, I'm not thrilled
And
to have
again,
Brandon
he's my number 4, so it doesn't matter. Anyways,
Yeah.
this is my like I'm throwing this out there. I think that's going to be the number 1 defense in the league, so I'm taking them. I've
The
been doing that
Ravens.
a little early, but I think they're going to be the number 1 defense in the league. I could be wrong. Houston looks like they might be really good too. The
One of their
49ers are always
was it
good.
Houston? Houston's DTAT, one of
What?
their DNs just got popped for PDs for 6 weeks.
Really?
Was it Houston? I don't know. I was at the gym. It was on the little ticker at the bottom, and
I know what you're talking about. I heard that. No, it wasn't Houston, was it? It wasn't Houston. Who was that?
It was somebody.
You're right. You are right. I did hear that.
It was a DN somewhere.
Yes.
Well,
I
Sam
feel like it
takes
might have been
49ers.
Dallas. I think it was Dallas.
Maybe it was Dallas.
I'm just deciding if I even want to take a second quarterback. I have 3
No,
more
it was
picks total.
Denico Autry, suspended over PED violation. Houston Texans DN.
Oh.
Well, he's got to get his stuff together down there.
Well, so there you go. And yeah, the 49ers are good. You took the 49ers. I think they'll be good. They're always good.
They are always a good, solid team.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I'm between a couple of people here, so I'm looking at wide receiver. I like Ricky Pearsall potential. I like Dontavian Wicks potential. And oddly, I like Quentin Johnson's potential because I think in LA, you don't know who's going to be the number 1 wide receiver. So he has for this late in a draft, I think he would end up being my wide receiver 5. That could be something I do. I don't It's kind of tough. I even like Jalen Polk in New England. I think he's a rookie that's come in. He could easily be their number 1 target at wide receiver because they have like nobody. I even like Demario Douglas in New England. I mean, he's another guy that did well last year that could do well again this year. But in our league and how it operates, like
Me and
touchdowns.
Sam, real quick, me and Sam have been saying someone has to throw the ball to somebody in New England.
Right.
I mean,
Agreed.
somebody that catches some balls. I mean,
right. So I'm gonna take. That's where I'm kind of going with this. Is like at the end of the day, touchdowns are what matter. I don't know how well he scores touchdowns, which I think is the tough part in New England. But I like the fact that he could probably be the wide receiver 1 for their team. So I'm going to go ahead and take Jalen Polk with that one. And then I have one more pick here. I think I am now. That's wide receiver 5. So I can get another wide receiver if I'd like. I can get a quarterback if I'd like. I might even go defense because I actually still think the best defense out there is the New York Jets. So I'm going to take the Jets defense here.
they could be.
They have a
could
top
be.
D.
That could be.
So I might go that. And for some reason, I'm feeling I'm short of players. So I'll have to take a look at where we're at. But I think I think this is correct. It's 15 total rounds, but I want to say there's a 16th round in ours. So I'll take a look at the settings again. We've adjusted the number of like flex options. So that might be what's throwing me off from the prior years or prior year. But last year we only had 1 flex as well. So I might just be off. But I think we have 16 rounds, not 15. So I'll check that out, but I set this up on here quickly to do that. Sam, you've already got your defense. You got your 2 quarterbacks. You only have 4 running backs. You have, I believe, 5 wide receivers. and then you have a tight end. So you have two more picks left. Are you focusing on any positions in particular?
I'm just kind of scrolling around a little bit, reading these little outlooks and stuff like that. I'm gonna say Kate Otten.
I like the Cade. Okay, why do you like the Cade?
Well, a lot of the wide receivers in Tampa Bay are old, and Kate Otten's only 25.
Okay.
And hamstring
Uh,
and everything. Um,
man, that old man is like 7 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. Like,
7 or 8. Yeah, I think it's like eight.
every
like
streak
that
ends
old
up getting
man, boy, he's just out there killing it.
every
Boy.
streak ends up getting broken at some point.
Hey, you know what? Mike Evans got me to not be in last place last year.
That's true.
Mike Evans got me
I think
to
you
not
lost.
be in
I
last
think
place.
you lost the toilet bowl, which should have made you last place. But it's like, yeah, it should be because like you got to take playoffs seriously. So like you should have been last place.
I don't like this. I don't like this shade. I don't
Yeah,
like
this is
being spoken to
attacking
like
right
I
here.
That's
don't
all
This
I'm
like
is
being
saying.
spoken
It
to
attacking.
should
like
be.
that.
No, this is just a general thing. It should be because if you ever watch the league, there's always the Sacco Bowl, and it's the very last game, and so that's the one that matters because it's like, can you win a game in the playoffs when you need to, not regular season. So that's just my 2 cents.
Well,
Well, you
anyway,
should have
I'm taking.
proposed it in the rule
I am going to take
changes.
a little flyer here, just and this is probably not as much of a flyer. If Brandon and I traded, I think that Ricky Pearsall will be a good pick. Because he'll step right in. I think he's
Yeah.
going to be a good young guy. There you go. I got a young guy for you.
Yeah, I like Pearsall.
Now with this one, I kind of need a tight end, and Hunter Henry is a decent option, but I am also looking at best available as well. And I mean, I feel like Adam Thielen wouldn't be a terrible choice. He did okay last year.
I do think it'd be a terrible choice. They've now brought in Xavier Legette. They brought in Deontay Johnson. They brought in
Right,
Jatavian Sanders.
but
They
I've
completely
already
brought in
right, but I've
all new
already seen
weapons.
right, but I've already seen training camp of the Carolina Panthers, and Deontay Johnson can't even catch a ball. He's not
Yeah.
caught one ball. He's dropped every single ball they've thrown to him.
Every ball in camp that man has dropped, of course.
I mean,
I'm just gonna say, like, if it's anything like last year, I guess if you
actually,
could trade him after week 3 or 4, then that might help you because he'll have a good few weeks and then he'll realize he's
my la-
old.
actually
Is
my last pick is going to be a big middle finger to Sam, who was just talking crap to me. I'm going to take Brees Hall's backup just in case something happens.
Ooh, thank God.
Whoa.
he had Bucky on his mind.
Got
Bucky Irving, baby.
You got Bucky Irving on your mind there?
I do.
And this is where I gotta decide what am I gonna do.
And it's good that you didn't wait till the last round to take the Jets.
Yeah, right. That's how this thing rolls. They're pretty much all take them. It's usually second to last if there's enough rounds, but like I said, I think I might be short one.
If I can throw in my 2 cents, I mean, it's your last pick. Elijah Mitchell's out there. That's who I should have taken.
I can't because I have 6 running backs, and so I can't take one.
There you go.
I have already overloaded, and that's where I'm actually am looking at. So I have 5 wide receivers, so I might go wide receiver
Well,
and just
Sam
say
was
F
thinking
to.
he would have taken Elijah Mitchell there.
No, I'll take Bucky Irving.
It's funny.
I'm
I'm even
if
considering
anything
taking.
happens to Christian McCaffrey, it's Elijah Mitchell, and Elijah Mitchell's good.
This is true,
He
but
just doesn't get any playtime because of McCaffrey.
Bucky Irving was a fucking stud in college, and I know he's a little shorter guy, but he was a freaking workhorse.
I feel it's funny you picked him because I've been telling my brother Sam I think that he might take the job from White. I mean,
yeah, I think he's a stud.
Yeah, that might happen.
So I took Jermaine Burton with my last pick there. I just think he's going to be those either Jamar Chase or T Higgins. One of them is always hurt, and he'll be the next guy up. So I like him there. And it's a Flyers, my very last pick.
So if I'm being truthful, I don't hate my team, but I mean, I will say I'm with you guys that I mean, I am a little old at wide receiver, but I'm also proven that all the guys I have are proven guys that they should be good. They should be good.
I don't
And I
mind.
have great running backs. I think I have great running backs.
Yeah, so let's why don't we recap this then? Because you said you feel like you have some like a really good squad there. I'm gonna try to bring this down. I don't want to
Yeah,
do
you
any
might
of
need.
that.
Let's see if I can see it again. But
So I'm gonna go back up here.
yeah, it's closed
So
mine. So
Zach,
yeah,
you had uh you start off with here. I'll just kind of run through your team. At quarterback, you have Dak Prescott and Aaron Rodgers. At running back, you have Christian McCaffrey, Isaiah Pacheco, Alvin Kamara, Najee Harris, and Jalen Warren and Braylon Allen. Um, to back up Brees Hall, I guess Sam's Brees Hall. To hey, just in case it happens. And then for a wide
again,
receiver, you
I
went
should have taken Elijah Mitchell. That would have
yeah.
been a smart play. If that was real, I would have taken Elijah Mitchell there probably.
An emotional decision.
For wide receiver, you must have went to the assisted living home and you got Mike Evans, Amari Cooper, DeAndre Hopkins, Brandon Cooks, and you obviously went to that home with Ricky Pearsall and drove with him to go see his grandparents. That's what you ended up doing, and then took Dalton Schultz as your tight end. How do you feel about that draft, Zach, for yourself? What do you like?
Again,
What
I would rate myself a grade. I would say a
B plus?
B. I'd say a B minus. I'd say
Okay,
a B minus. I agree with you guys. I am a little old at wide receiver. I gotta hope those guys all stay healthy. I don't love Dalton Schultz, but again, tight end is
yeah,
few and far between.
he was like the
I mean,
12th tight
I
end
don't
taken.
love Dak Prescott being my quarterback, but I do love Aaron Rodgers on my bench because, I mean, again, if he's healthy, I feel like he's going to be a top 5 quarterback. I mean,
Yeah,
we've never not seen him be bad, you know? So,
he'll be steady if he's playing,
yeah,
I think, as
I would
well.
say maybe a B
Okay.
minus probably is what I'd give myself.
A little elderly in the receiving game, but I mean, I like your running back room. I think you're solid there, so and that's a big important part to us here.
Yeah, my
Uh,
running back room, I'd give like an A minus.
Receivers, I'm going to give you a C plus, and then he comes out to a B, right?
Yeah,
So there
sure.
we go. All right, Sam, you have Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Watson at your quarterback position, and then you have Brees Hall, Derrick Henry, DeAndre Swift, Devin Singletary, and Bucky Irving at running back. You came with Stephon Diggs, Zay Flowers, Jaden Reed, Keon Coleman, and Jahan Dotson at wide receiver with Brock Bowers and Kate Otten in your tight end room in the 49ers defense. We won't touch on defenses here because I think all three of us got really solid defenses. But how do you feel about your draft?
I feel pretty good. I like my running backs a lot. I don't mind my wide receivers. I probably could have waited for a tight end like a little longer. I like my quarterbacks. It's a bummer that this team isn't going to be around when I draft them again next time. But because I think the draft was fairly accurate a little bit to kind of what would happen. I think with like tight ends and quarterbacks kind of going a little bit, some people grabbing a couple early.
Yeah,
Um, but I kind of doubt Brees Hall is going to be around by the time I get him next time. So that kind of like throws off my game plan because I just wanted a really solid running back to start. And, it's going to be interesting to see who comes back around at that point. So,
yeah. And I think, I mean, where I'd go with that is I feel like you have definitely a solid start, couple running backs to start off with, Brees Hall and Derrick Henry. You're going to get a lot of your production from them. Um, Wide receiver room, I'm not a huge fan, but I think you just have a lot of upside picks at that point. Is saying, okay, I'm going upside with that room because otherwise Devin Singletary is going to get like all the work, and that's point per carry. That's a big deal. So I think that's a great pick at that, and that's why I was asking you more between him and Brian Robinson because I like Brian Robinson a lot, but I actually really like Devin Singletary this year. It's just a consistent running back that's lower in drafts that can really help be your third running back, your fourth running back that can really bolster your depth. and be a solid fill-in piece at worst, you know. So I like that one a lot as a kind of a
Six
steady pick.
Six is definitely a little bit harder of a spot than I thought it was going to be because it's like when you look at who kind of comes off the board, like I got lucky because Brees Hall was there, and I'm like, I'm going to take him just based on our league, but like I don't anticipate that being the factor when we actually draft.
Sure.
But then at six, you're kind of looking at like, okay, I can have like a top five wide receiver in the entire league,
Yeah.
or I can get like a solid running back. Like, do I want like if this were to play out again, do I want like Bijan, Jameer Gibbs, or Jonathan Taylor to be my like one overall? Like Jonathan Taylor, maybe. Jameer Gibbs, I think, is going to step up, but you don't really know. So it's kind of like when you're sitting at six, you're kind of just waiting to see what pans out, and then you're just playing from there because it's like, you
Yeah.
know, I would rather like I thought about taking Jamar Chase because like obviously he's a top five wide receiver, but our league's not really built around that. So it's
Right.
kind of
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
like you kind of want a running back, but all the ones are going to be gone. So middle of the pack's a tough place to be.
I think so too. Drafting in the middle is difficult because you're really having to base it off of swings that are happening in the draft, meaning are there more running backs being taken right now, receivers, and you kind of feel caught between runs to where your maybe hand is feeling more forced. Whereas at the end of a draft, I feel like a little more free to just pick who I like because I know that I'm not going to pick for a long time. So therefore, like I don't
Same
mind
thing with
taking.
the quarterbacks. I mean, when they
Yeah.
go early, when someone starts taking one early, and then it kind of changes like what you're thinking, and
Yep.
yeah, it's
Agreed.
it's tough doing mocks for that reason because the computer is not going to take all the people that the people are going to take.
Agreed. I think so as well. That's why I do like Sleeper more with the mock drafting because it does vary itself, you know,
Yeah,
as you do them. So I like
yeah,
it for that reason. But you're right. Even this, you know, when I see a start to the draft that it starts with Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, and then goes CMC at number three,
yeah, yeah.
Zach knows he's not getting CMC at
No,
number three. I
neat.
can tell you
Yeah,
that
no,
Glenn is probably going to be taking CMC at number one, or at least
yeah,
one of those running backs at number one. I would imagine. I don't know that for
yeah,
certain, but you know, it's kind of to Sam's point. He doesn't see that he would or think that he would have a Brees Hall sitting there for him at the sixth. But I wouldn't put it past us to have one of those three running backs available at six. I mean, it'd be borderline. And at that point, you got to decide where you're leaning in wide receivers. And then to kind of wrap it up on my end, I honestly really like my first four picks, and I'd say I'd throw Anthony Richardson in as a maybe. I like it. However, I think the tough part is because I have Jonathan Taylor, I don't feel like that's as smart to do is to pick up um is to pick him up.
yeah,
So
yeah,
therefore it's just I just wouldn't do that normally because I don't like to have
yeah.
the running back and running quarterback from the same team. It just really
Right.
capture upside. So I probably wouldn't like that in the future. But if I didn't have Jonathan Taylor, I would have been easy to do that. But I like
Yeah,
my running back depth. I don't like my receiver room as much. I really don't. I like the first two, DK and Devonta, but I'm going to have to rely on potential upside. I took three rookies, Adonai Mitchell, Jalen Polk, and Jermaine Burton, with the hopes that one of those turns into something. And then Rashid Shaheed is another boom bust kind of guy that I like. But again, I have to hope he turns into something within that. And then I didn't take any backup to my onesie positions, meaning I didn't take a backup tight end and I didn't take a backup quarterback, which may be the case, but this year I don't always do that. But a little tough, but it was a good mock overall, I think.
yeah,
Unfortunately, I think we lost Sam.
yeah. And we just lost me. I'm there. I think we're running into technical difficulties.
Okay, then. It could be the
I'm,
time I set
I'm
up
on my
for it.
phone now. That's why my background changed.
But, well, then. That's unfortunate because I like having, you know, Dr. Sam to finish it out for us.
Yeah.
Any parting words in our first mock draft episode that you want to give to the peoples?
Just do mock drafts. I mean, obviously, we're on ESPN, so you don't get to see them this way. This is why we did it on Sleeper. The last thing I would say is I would really hope if everyone does watch this episode look into this app because Sleeper is much better, and especially for people that aren't, experts. It explains a lot more. It's easier
Yep.
to use. It's very detailed in that, where it's very friendly user, easy.
I would say the same. I really enjoy the Sleeper app, and as you can see, it's color coded,
Yeah.
which I think is great that it's color coded in that manner because that also helps you with your drafting and you can see yourself on the draft board and you can easily count. Like for me, just running through, hey, here's where you have a quarterback, running back, wide receiver. That was super easy for me to do because it's color
Yeah.
coordinated. I like
Yeah.
how the draft board looks. It actually looks cool. So they've done a lot of stuff
Yeah.
on here. So definitely the way I'd like to go in the future.
Yeah.
And we'll see what Sam thinks about it. I know Allison is going to be in our league with, that me, you, and Allison and your brother Sam
Hmm.
are a part of, and they invited us to. They use Sleeper, so she'll get a better idea of that and think if she likes it more as well. But this
Yeah.
could be an app that we switch to just because much more friendly user interface. It
Yeah.
just looks a lot cleaner. There's a lot more you can do with it,
Yeah.
which is to me a lot of fun as well, and adds a little bit more to
Yeah.
the app. But Zach, thank you for hopping on here with me. Dr. Sam, I'm
Yeah.
sorry we lost you. He says Wi-Fi went out. That's what happened
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
So we lost him, but appreciate you jumping on and doing this mock draft with me.
Yeah.
I'm
No
excited to do another
problem.
one with you. We'll do
Yeah.
more. I enjoy
For
it.
sure.
So,
For sure.
but
Yeah.
peace
Just
out.
do the mocks and get some practice in, everybody.
Agreed, and try it from your spot and try from different spots. I'd almost say like when
Yeah.
you're mocking, you might even want to like move one or two spots away from where you're at. Maybe don't skew too far because you won't get the right stuff. But to your point, Zach, it's not always going to go how this goes. And so you might
Yeah.
want to just kind of play around a little bit with being around your spot, but going different points because that might actually end up being how you draft
Yeah.
with it or the players that you might end up getting because of it. So,
Yeah. For sure.
all right. Well,
Peace
much
out,
love.
everybody.
Yeah,
Love you
much love
all.
to you.
Love you.
All right. Bye.
Peace.